What kind of culture was created in the State Department that your folks couldn't tell you in an email about a bomb in April of 2012?
Well, Congresswoman, I did not conduct most of the business that I did on behalf of our country on email. If you were to be in my office in the State Department, I didn't have a computer. I did not do the vast majority of my work on email, and I bet there's a lot of Sid Blumenthal's emails in there from 2011, too.
All right, joining us now as promised, Congressman Mo Brooks. He is, of course, a member of the House Armed Services and Foreign Affairs Committees, member of the U.S. House Freedom Caucus. Lots to talk about. Congressman, welcome aboard.
My pleasure.
All right. I know you managed to watch some of the hearings. That, by the way, was a question from Susan Brooks, no relation, I assume. So what do you think of the fact that Hillary doesn't even have a computer and doesn't do the bulk of her work when she was with the State Department through email?
That might pose a problem during her campaign connecting with millennials. That was my initial reaction. I mean, I'm kind of antiquated, but I have computers and I have cell phones. I have an iPad and I use them. For Hillary Clinton not to have a computer access during that time of day is quite remarkable.
Yet, all in all, as was pointed out during the testimony, and I think this was a question from Congressman Pompeo, there were over 600 requests for enhanced security in 2012 alone from Ambassador Stevens and his staff. Over 600 requests. Hillary Clinton said none ever reached her. Yet, Sidney Blumenthal, in the same time period, 150 emails found in Hillary's email from Sid Blumenthal. What does that say?
That she was focused more on campaigns and elections than she was on her job as Secretary of State. That's what I read from it.
I mean, it's just inconceivable. And the Blumenthal thing blew up. But one other thing, she also said in her opening statement that no one knew the dangers better, the dangers involved in being where he was, than Chris Stevens. Well, if that's the case, and I wrote this down at the time she said it, and one of the congressmen brought it up later, if that's the case, if he knew best, then why were his pleas, hundreds of pleas for more security, ignored?
We have not been able to get a good answer from Hillary Clinton to that question and any number of other questions. I particularly liked Jim Jordan's comments and line of questioning on the narrative. Why was Hillary Clinton telling her family it was a terrorist attack?
I was going to get to that.
Telling
yes.
others it was a terrorist attack, but telling the American people that it was a spontaneous uprising inspired by some video made in California or wherever in the United States it was made. Again, you go back to the earlier part of what you and I were discussing. It seems that she was more focused on politics and campaigns than she was on doing her job of Secretary of State, than she was on protecting American citizens in Benghazi, which we really ought to be talking about why we're there in the first place. We were in Benghazi because Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama decided to kill Muammar Gaddafi, who had not been a threat to the United States for decades. Libya had a fairly peaceful existence, at least as much as you can have one in a Middle Eastern Muslim country nowadays. It had been fairly peaceful, had not really done much, if anything, with respect to Europe or America that would endanger us. And out of the blue, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama decide to take out the Libyan government. And, of course, that resulted in the killing of Muammar Gaddafi, which in turn resulted in the kind of anarchy and mass killings that are occurring today, particularly with the religious strife where non-Muslims are bearing the brunt of the death.
And according to what we heard today, this was against the advice of generals, against the advice of the Pentagon, against the advice of many senior White House staff members, but she managed to convince Obama. What do you think the motivation there was on Hillary's part?
I don't know. It's inexplicable. It was very bad judgment. The United States should not be used as a weapon to topple governments willy-nilly. There has to be some kind of national interest that is compelling for the United States to be involved. You can make a case for it being compelling during the Persian Gulf conflict, where we liberated Kuwait. You could make a case for it being compelling when we entered Afghanistan, in as much as that's where the root of al-Qaeda was and where Osama bin Laden was operating. You can make a case for the second invasion of Iraq based on Iraq having violated on numerous occasions the treaty arrangements that ended the first Gulf War, and based on Iraq being involved in other inhumane activities that resulted in loss of life. But there was no case that could logically be made for the United States to be involved in Libya. Yet that is where this Democratic administration, headed by Barack Obama, on the advice and counsel of Hillary Clinton, went. Makes no sense.
No. You made some comments about Hillary the other day, which gained a lot of traction. What exactly were you talking about with impeaching her?
Well, there are two aspects of this. First, I should be more careful about how the media will make up things or distort things. There was some initial left-wing media that got a hold of my comments and distorted it and said, well, the first thing this Republican's going to do if Hillary Clinton gets elected is file articles of impeachment. I've never said any such thing.
Do you know who particularly distorted what you said?
I think it began with Huffington Post. Certainly, it was carried by Way TV in Huntsville, Alabama, to that effect.
Gotcha.
Some other, with the internet being what it is,
yeah, just
once
spreads like
bad
wildfire.
news,
Absolutely, yeah.
Erroneous news is picked up. It just flies. What I did say, and you can go back to my original comments on WTKI and WVNN, Matt Murphy radio show, was we were talking about the seriousness of what Hillary Clinton has been doing. Not about emails, not about email servers. That's the way Hillary Clinton wants it described, because that's rather innocuous, but rather about the mishandling of classified documents, whether it be top secret, or what have you. There are federal statutes that make it a crime to do what it appears the evidence says Hillary Clinton did.
Right, and hopefully the FBI will do the right thing here. But just to be clear, what did you say about the impeachment?
Well, to emphasize the seriousness of the criminal activity of mishandling classified documents, I said something to this effect. I won't have it verbatim. I don't have it in front of me. I could read it to you. But something to this effect, that, folks, wouldn't it be ironic if Hillary Clinton were elected, and certainly that's where the Democrats want to put her, is in the White House, and on the day that she is sworn in, that's also the day that she's subject to impeachment, should the House or Senate so decide,
based on the findings of the FBI.
These are high crimes and misdemeanors that have been committed. They're jeopardizing national security.
So you never
They're
said
putting
you
American
would,
lives
right,
at
you
risk.
never said you would file them, and that's how the media
No, never said that.
All right, very quickly.
Might not be a bad idea, but I never said it.
Paul Ryan going to be the next speaker?
Probably. If he wants the job, he'll be the next speaker. But paradoxically, if Kevin McCarthy had wanted the job, he had the votes to be speaker. And John Boehner, if he had wanted to keep the job, he had the votes to keep the job as speaker. So I don't know what's going to happen with Paul Ryan.
Will
He's
you vote for him,
the
sir?
votes.
Will you vote for him?
I am undecided at this point how I will vote on the House floor. In the GOP conference, I'm going to vote with Daniel Webster. He's a fellow Southerner.
Gotcha.
Understands Southern values, but more importantly, he has experience as Speaker of the House.
Okay.
Just the Florida House of Representatives. And he did an excellent job, by all accounts, of being Speaker there, and vastly improved the approval rating of the legislature while he was Speaker. It was a typical 10 to 15% approval rating, which is pretty much the norm.
Good. Congressman,
public disrespect for
I am sorry. I am out of time, but I appreciate it, and we'll speak to you again, sir. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care. Congressman Brooks, we're coming back with John Sununu, former governor of New Hampshire. Don't go away.